on a spacebound ride.
I've had this Tesla on a personal lease which ends soon.
It's all about the big. It's all about the big. The faster we move, the thicker it gets thick.
They offered to extend it for an additional £100 a month. No thanks.
It's all about the big.
One real benefit of Teslas is their superb supercharger network, which just works with no hassle at all. For that reason, I'm reluctant to lease a non-Tesla EV. I've also started an online business, so I'm now leasing this MG HS plug-in hybrid as a company car. The unusual thing about this car is that it has an electric-only range of 80 miles. This means for me, 90% of the time, I can just use it as an electric car. So I'll just use petrol on long journeys, which I don't do very often. So let's give it a test. I'm in Ross-on-Wye, the battery's fully charged, and I'm driving back to Swansea, which is a distance of about 90 miles. This is the Ross-on-Wye Beefeater restaurant, which closed recently due to lack of trade, although every time I've ever been there it's been completely packed. So we drove along the M4 between 50 and 70 miles an hour in electric mode, which still gives you about 200 horsepower to play with. And as you can see, we made 71.3 miles before the petrol engine came on. Okay, so we're on a private road and we're going onto a motorway where everybody's doing at least 70, probably more. So we need to pull out sharpish when I just like it there. Right, go, 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 go. Foot on the floor. There we go.
Let's stop it.
To open the boot with the remote, you've actually got to do a long press on this button. A quick press won't do anything. Long press. There it goes. I see there's loads of room inside the boot, and the seats at the back actually fold completely flat, which gives you a complete kind of loading deck, which is really good. So for fully electric vehicles, the benefit in kind tax, or BIK for short, is the lowest, rising 1% a year to 7% by 2028. This benefit in kind tax is the tax you pay if you are using a company car for your own personal use as well. So it's good if you can minimise that. As your vehicle emissions increase, the BIK you pay jumps up, as you can see on this chart. However, if you've got a plug-in hybrid and it has an electric range of greater than 70 miles, which most currently don't, but the MG1 does, then the BIK is still quite low at 5% at the moment, going up 1% a year. Notice that in 2028, all non-fully electric cars will have a BIK that jumps up to 18%. So it seems wise at the moment to lease this car for 3 years and then see what's changed by the time we get to April 2028, because I'm sure quite a lot may change by then. So the BIK tax you have to pay is the list price of your vehicle, including VAT, times the BIK percentage, currently 5% for this MG, times your tax band, for example 20% or 40%. So if we look at a regular car such as a Ford Focus 1.5 litre, nothing special, a 20% taxpayer would pay $1,740 a year, and a 40% taxpayer would pay $3,480 a year BIK tax, and this would go up every year too. In contrast, an EV driver would pay only £240 a year or £480 a year respectively. So for the MG HS plug-in hybrid, it's the only plug-in hybrid at this price point with a greater than 70 mile EV range. So even a 40% taxpayer would pay £671 this year, then £804, then £938. Then 1,072, but note the jump in 2028, where it jumps to 18%, so it'll more than double to 2,414. Also, there is a car fuel benefit charge to pay if using company petrol for personal journeys. So in my case, I intend to avoid paying that by paying for my own fuel, and that fuel will mostly be electricity, cheap rate overnight, or from solar panels. So bearing all this in mind, we need firstly a car with a very low BIK tax rate, a car with low fuel costs. In my case, I will use it as an electric car 90% of the time, charging cheaply at home. Probably a 3-year lease, as the BIK rates may jump to 18% after that, so we'll need to rethink everything. And finally, the car needs to be under £40,000, as we have a luxury car tax coming in April 2025. In my case, I went to a lease comparison website. I clicked on business lease, not personal lease. I selected the car, selected 10,000 miles a year, and the best deal was roughly £3,500 initial payment, with monthly payments of £241 a month after that, plus VAT, which works out at £289 a month, which I thought was pretty reasonable. If you want to select between EV mode, priority, or a mixture of driving modes, you press the car icon here. Right, and here you've got drive mode normal, so I'll put it in comfort. Regenerative braking low, I want it on high because it'll give me more electric range. And then I've got power source EV. So we've done that. We come back to home. This is the only button you've really got to remember. It just takes you back to the home page, as it were. Now, one thing when you do get into the car, it's got a lot of driver assist things which have alarms which go bong. If you go more than the speed limit, it'll go bong. And if this sensor here that's looking at your face thinks you're not paying attention, a little warning will come up with a coffee cup sign saying please pay attention to your driving, and it'll also go bong. I don't find them that intrusive. They're not really loud. They are just sort of there, but you can turn them off. So if you press this, right, you've got comfort mode, normal, sport, MG Pilot. Here we are. Now this is one that's a bit of a pain. So you can have all these alarms on, but you can turn, you can have them visual. So overspeed, audible warning. I can turn that off if I want. Speed limit change, audible warning. Turn that off. You still get a visual warning. Lane departure, rear driving. Driver fatigue monitor. This is the one that's a bit annoying. You can turn off the audible warnings, then go back to the home screen. Now the trouble is, next time I go for a drive in this car, I've got to do that all over again. You can turn off the driver fatigue warnings though. There's a shortcut for that, which I've seen on another review website. If you put a bit of tape over this sensor, kind of error message will appear somewhere on the screen, but then the driver alertness warnings will not fire. Obviously I won't use that today because that's probably against the law. I'm sure these features are fitted now. They're probably a legal requirement in all cars from 2025 onwards, so it's not a matter of choice. It'd be nice to turn them all off with one button or something like that. So what happens if we're driving along and the battery runs flat? Well, let's try it and see. So here we are going up a slight incline, and we have 1 mile left of electric range. Here we are at 55 miles an hour. Our electric motor is at 38% of maximum power. The petrol engine is off completely, shown as 0 revolutions per minute. Here we are now down to 0 miles of electric range, and you can see at this moment the petrol engine comes on, shown as 2,200 RPM. Also note, the electric motor is still delivering some power. It hasn't shut off completely. It doesn't just cut out, as even at this point the battery isn't truly flat. We're just now running the car as a hybrid from now on. If anything, at this point the car became more responsive to the accelerator pedal, not less, as we're now using power from both the electric and the petrol motors. So today the sun's out, but it's not super bright, so we're probably getting about 1,200 watts off the solar panels. Petrol filler cap is the other side. This is the charging cap if you unlock the car, basically. Then you can undo this. Okay, and then we'll go plug in the charger. Right, I'm just going to get in the car and show you some of the charger settings that you can use. Right, it says slow charging, so turn the car on. Right, now this is the home screen. If it's not on the home screen, you press this button. So swipe it across. Right, now you get a load of choices. So energy management here. If you look at here, it says maximum charging settings. So right, so it's going at the maximum speed of the charger. Now I don't want to do that actually, because we've not got mega sunlight today. So I could put it on 6 amps. There. Right, now you see it's drawing just under a kilowatt. So I know from the software that comes with my solar panels that they're producing about 1,500. So a bit's powering the house, the fridge, etc., and the rest is just super slow charging the car. There is an app for your phone, which I'll show you. Right, so you see here we've got MG Smart or iSmart, something like that. You see, it's a pretty basic app, but you know, it shows my battery is currently 0%. It's got an EV management option. Try again. There we are. Right, you can have battery heating, so you can turn on your battery heating before you charge it. You can have scheduled charging. You can't set the charging speed, so I set it to the lowest rate of charge there. Don't think you can do that through the app, which is a bit of a shame, but you can turn on charging, you can turn off charging from the app, and it gives you some basic information about the car. You can turn on the air conditioning.
Climate control is already on.
Yes, okay, thank you. You can turn on the rear window demist, things like that. So what else we got on the options? Oh, it gives you vehicle status check. If you can't remember if you've locked the car, there you are. The other thing that's nice is a little bit more ground clearance, and you've got ground clearance at the front, so if you want to roll up to a curb with your tyres, the front of the car will easily go over the curb without you having to worry about it, and same at the back if you want to reverse. Another feature is if the car is already unlocked, if you wave your foot under the boot, there we are, it'll open. It's a neat trick. And see how nicely it closes. And then it pulls it down, which is a lot neater than the Tesla mechanism. A couple of other things. The rear view mirror, I know it sounds just like a small thing, but when you move it around, it's smooth. It doesn't sort of stick as you're moving it. It feels like a quality item, unlike the one on the Tesla. And the previous model of this car, I believe, had a fold-out thing here. You could put your glasses in or your sunglasses in. That would be quite handy, because I'm not seeing any obvious place to put that. If I'm using both cup holders and I've got my phone charging here, I've got to put them in there. I've seen reviewers complaining about these USB sockets because they're not USB-C, which are the small ones. They're the original USB-A type. To be honest, I haven't got a problem at all. I mean, to use Apple CarPlay or the Android equivalent, which I use, you do need a cable So I've just got a cable. So it's not a big deal. I'll actually get a cable that's exactly the right length when I get a chance. And then in this socket, I've just got a bog standard memory stick with a whole ton of music on it. So I don't really see the problem. I'm reversing into a parking spot at the moment, and you can see the rear camera gives that view. But if you press it on again, you get a wide angle view, which I much prefer. And you also get the top view, of course. It will default back to the normal view each time. This is bright sunshine, so and you get distance sensors from the ultrasonic sensors at the back. It's got ultrasonic sensors at the front as well. It will also give you a front distance. There we go. Ooh, there we go. And park. There's a lot of voice activated commands you can use. You see there's a voice button there. Press that, speak, and ask it what you want to do. You've got user configurable buttons here, so you can assign a function to those, which we'll probably come back to later. So you have got some physical buttons for demisting the car when you first get into it, and home screen buttons. So if you get confused on the menu, just press the home screen button. And you can see you've got your app connect, so Android Auto. You can adjust your temperature pretty easily. I mean, yeah, some people say it's a bit laggy. Well, yeah, a few milliseconds maybe, not the end of the world. To open the, if we zoom in down there, we can see this is your headlight adjuster if you've got a heavy load in the back and it's bringing up your headlamps. So I've just got it on the middle position at the moment. This opens this button opens, you press it opens the petrol cap. To open the bonnet, you pull this one twice, otherwise it won't open. So to turn on the car, you've got to press the brake pedal and then press this button. Another quirk is when you've come to a stop, you want to get out of the car, so you come to a stop, doesn't matter whether you're in forward or reverse, you just press P and it just puts basically the parking brake on. It's very tempting at this point to just get out of the car and lock it. So if you do get out of the car and lock it, so let's do that. Out of the car. See, the engine's not running, there's no noise at all. All right, try and lock it. See, the horn will beep, and the reason it's beeping is because the car's still on. You may have parked it, but the car's still on. It's as if you've left the engine running, but of course you haven't, because the engine only comes on and off when required. So to turn the car off, and again, if you press the pedal now and turn the car off, it won't turn off. You've got to not have your foot on the pedal, then you just do that. Right, now it shuts down. Now this button and this button are user configurable, so in the vehicle settings menu. So let's see if I can work out how to do that. Okay, I've discovered if I put it in drive mode, so obviously I've got my foot on the brake to stop it moving away. If I now press this one, I can configure low or high, press it again, high, regen, and then this one, press it once, I can have comfort, normal, or sport. Comfort, I think, gives you more gradual acceleration, so if you're in EV mode, that's probably good for your range. And then this one, remember, is your regen, which I personally would want on high, because it recovers more battery energy. Okay, I've found how to set these. Right, it's you press the car icon, and then it's in convenience menu. So you've got MG Pilot, which is your various beeps and things. You've got cluster, which changes the appearance of the display. So that gives you a kind of sat nav. This one just gives you the speed. and you see instrument immersion mode. If you turn that off, gives you kind of more information on the screen. So I've got my Android phone now attached. I'm using Android Auto. This is Waze, the Waze app, this one here, which I like to use as my navigation. If I want to change my heater settings, what I would do is, I can't unfortunately configure it to one of these, doesn't seem possible, so I'd go home menu, then I'd adjust it there, and then I would hit Android Auto again there, bring it back where it was. That seems to be it's not too difficult, so I'll just run through that again. Go to home, so that means that's easy to press, adjust it, and then press that, and then your map's back. With respect to the radio, that's not so bad. I've configured it to this button here, so I can change my radio source each time I press it again, and I can show my radio channel and everything here. Hang on, just press this each. Right, so there's my infotainment, as it were, because it's not on the screen at the moment because I'm using Waze. So I've got my tracks, my music there. I can change the source of my music by pressing this whilst leaving the Waze on there. The only thing I can't easily bring up is the heater settings. As I say, we go home, adjust it, then go back to Android Auto, and there, back there, and put my entertainment there, and that should work. So that's pretty good, and that's all controllable through this. This knob, if you flick it up, will increase the volume. Flick it down, it will decrease the volume. Left, right, it will change the station. So if we flick it right, there we are again. My car is currently plugged into the charger, so I'm going to see if I can use the app to turn on the air conditioning before we get in the car. So it takes a minute to update, so if we just wait. So we've got 100% battery, it's charged up overnight, cheap rate. We've got an internal temperature of -4, so what happens if I turn that on? Oh, hang on, I'll just move my camera away. Right, and it's now on. Well, it looks like it's trying. Okay, so it'll run for 10 minutes. Well, that's fine, because I'm leaving in 10 minutes. So when we get in the car, we'll see if it's warm. So what should happen, because it's still plugged into the charger, the car should warm up, but it should take the energy from the charger. The battery should stay at 100%. Okay, it's about 10 minutes later. You can see now the air temperature has gone up to 10. My battery's gone down to 99, so I don't know if it's been taking some energy from the battery and some from the charger, or all of it from the battery. So I don't know if you can see that, but the car is drawing 3.7 kilowatts from the charger as it's preheating the cabin. So it is taking it from the charger and not from the battery, which is good. If you're just about to start a road trip, you keep the maximum amount of power in your battery before you start. So to unplug it, you just unlock the car. That's it, ready to go.
It's all about the BIK. It's all